Roblox has just updated their text chat service to make it extremely easy for developers to be creative and customize the chat bubbles. Now, along with customizing them, we can also easily make models or other non-player objects such as NPCs use them as well. Now, if you're interested in playing around with this brand new system, it's actually extremely easy to do. What I recommend doing is starting up Roblox Studio and then just going right into testing a game. Once you're inside of here, you're going to see a text chat service in your Explorer. You can go ahead and expand this, and inside of here, you should see an object called Bubble Chat Configuration. Now, this is a brand new object that Roblox just added in with this update, and if the name doesn't give it away, what this object is actually used for is literally customizing the bubble chats. And just for full clarification, this is a bubble chat right here. So that kind of white background is referred to as a bubble. Now, with this bubble chat configuration object, we can look at its properties, and we have a bunch of properties that we can actually modify here to change how they appear. The first property that I'm going to modify is the bubble duration. Let's just set this to a very large number, and now whenever we type in a message, it's not going to disappear within 15 seconds or whatever else it's set to. It's going to take 999 seconds, and that helps us visually see this for much longer so we can easily customize it without having to send multiple messages. Now that we've done that, we can look at all of the other properties that are on here as well. So let's just say, for instance, that we wanted to modify the background color, and we can easily see what this property actually changes. So now that bubble is no longer white, and it can be any color we want it to be. Along with that, we can also adjust the background transparency property. Keep in mind that when you make adjustments to the bubble chat configuration, certain properties might not update the previous bubble chats that have been sent. So what we can do is send another message, and now we can see what the next bubble chat looks like that actually contains that updated property like background transparency. Now again, not all properties actually require you to send another message to see the new property change. Now with most of these properties, you can probably already guess what most of them do. So I feel like the only ones that are really worth covering are the ones that you probably don't know what they do. So for instance, right here we have a property called tail visible. Now let me go ahead and send another message. I also made the background transparency 0 so that we can see the bubble much clearer. And now what this tail visible property does is it actually affects that little arrow at the bottom of the chat bubble. If we toggle that property off, then we can see that that arrow at the bottom of the bubble no longer appears. And of course, if we have it toggled on, then we can see it. The next property that we have is bubble duration, and we already went over this. This is the amount of seconds that the bubble will stay on screen for. Next, we have bubble spacing, and really all this is how much space should be in between every single bubble. So if we increase it, we can see that the bubbles are further spread out, and then if we decrease it, we can see that they appear much closer together. Now, if you toggle the enabled property on or off, especially if it is the one inside of the text chat service, it seems like it kind of just destroys all of the old bubbles and you don't see them at all. Next, we have local player studs offset, and basically we can just adjust these numbers to make the bubble chats appear in a different position, but from the actual character. Next, we have max distance, which is actually the furthest distance you can be away from the bubble while still seeing it. So currently this is set at 100, and if we scroll our camera all the way out, once we get past that threshold, we're no longer able to see any of those bubbles. So what we could do is increase this to 500, and when we do that, we're actually able to see one single bubble which has 3 dots inside of it. Now we have a property below max distance called minimize distance, and that actually affects this bubble right here. So considering when we scroll in, we can see that we have 3 bubbles displayed to us currently, but once we reach a certain threshold, all 3 of those bubbles turn into a single bubble with 3 dots inside of it. What happens is as we get further away from those bubbles, they actually become minimized, and this is what they look when they're minimized. So if we adjust the minimized distance to say like 500, then actually if we were able to scroll 500 studs away, we would never actually see any of these messages minimized. They would be fully visible the entire time until that max distance threshold is reached, and then they would instantly disappear. There would be no minimizing at all. Okay, so with all that being said, I still feel like we're only touching on the surface level of things. If we look inside of the bubble chat configuration, we can actually see a couple of different objects inside of here. And in my opinion, this is where the really cool things start to happen. So let's look at our UI corner, for example. The corner radius is set to 0,12, and we could adjust this to however we want. So let's set this to 0 and 50, just a very large number. When we do that, we can see that our bubble becomes more round because we increase the corner radius. We could also set both these numbers to 0, and now the bubble actually appears as a square. So we're able to use UI corners to modify our bubbles in that way. We also have a UI gradient as well, and when we want to use this, we need to make sure that we set the enabled property to true, and then we can actually modify the color. Now, I'm no artist, so I'm just going to pick 2 random colors. We're going to go with red, and then we're going to go with a yellow, and now we can see that that UI gradient is affecting that bubble. Now, I'm going to disable this because that color scheme was horrible, but I'm just showing you what you can actually do. In addition to that, we also have an image label here as well, and what we can actually do is set the image property of this image label, and it will update the bubble. Now, the thing is, when it comes to the specific image, I've had an extremely hard time finding any good images that work with the chat bubble, so there's nothing that I can really recommend for you guys with that. But in the official Roblox documentation, they actually provide an example, and they include an image in this, which actually works really well with chat bubbles. So I figure we can use that one to just kind of show you what the capabilities may look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the image property of this image label. This is the image ID that we're going to be using. So if if you want to copy that and try it on your own, you certainly can. And now when we update that image, we can actually see our bubble change directly right there. Now we do want to modify some more properties of this to make this look a little bit better. So for the scale type, I'm going to set that to slice. For the slice scale, I'm going to set that to 0.5. And then for the slice center, we're going to set that to 40, 40, 360, 160. And now that we've done that, we can see that we no longer have that boring old chat bubble that's just a basic white. We actually have a pretty cool background. And what's even cooler about it is that this image actually scales no matter what the text size actually is. Now, keep in mind that any changes that you actually make to the bubble chat configuration inside of Studio while you're testing the game is not going to save once you stop the game. The reason that I recommend testing the game while also customizing your bubble chat configuration is just because it's a really simple and quick way to visualize what those changes might look like. So what I'd recommend is if you do make those changes, you note down all the changes that you made so that once you exit the playtest, you can then go ahead and update the same bubble chat configuration inside of the Explorer right here. Now, any changes that you make to the bubble chat configuration inside of the Explorer before you test your game, you can think of this as sort of the default configuration for how bubbles will appear in your game. Now, although this sort of acts as the default chat bubble in your game, you can also customize every single bubble in your game and make them all extremely unique. And how do we do that? Well, that's going to require some scripting. So to begin scripting, what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of the Starter Player, inside of the Starter Player scripts, and we're going to add a brand new local script to this. Now I'm going to rename this script to Bubble, but of course you don't have to. Now inside of the script, we are going to want to get the text chat service. The reason that we need the text chat service is because that provides us with a callback that we can hook up to modify what the bubble will look like right before it's about to be displayed. Now in addition to the text chat service, we're also going to want to get the player service as well. Now, like I just mentioned about the callback, let's go ahead and actually set that up. So using the text chat service, we're going to index this with on bubble added, and now we need to set that equal to a brand new function. Now this function is going to have two parameters. The first parameter is going to be called message, which is of the text chat message type, and the second parameter is an adornee, which is of the instance type. Now if you're ever curious about how events or callbacks or different things from the services are actually set up, what arguments they pass through, and different things like that, you can always go to the official Roblox documentation. So on this page, we can see that we have an on bubble added callback. We can see our two parameters right here. So we get the message, which is a text chat message, and the adornee, which is an instance. And then it also describes what each of these things are. So for instance, this is the incoming text chat message. And then the adornee is the part or character that the bubble chat message is attached to. Now, really what you're probably curious about here is what the text chat message type actually is. So we can click on that and see what it is. So we can see that the text chat message is a data object, which means that it's going to have some properties, methods, events, and other things like that. Now, this object contains a couple of different properties. Realistically, you're probably not going to be using most of these, and I'd say the one most worth talking about is the text source. What the text source property actually does is it tells us where the text came from for creating this bubble. Now, if we're curious about what text source actually is, let's go ahead and click on it, and that'll tell us exactly what it is. So, text sources provide details on permissions a user has in the text channels. Now, the most important part here is that name of a text source is the player.display name of the user associated with the text source via text source.user ID. So text source objects contain a property called user ID. And of course, what the user ID is it's going to be the player's ID who actually sent the message. Now, inside of this function, the first thing we want to do is create a bubble chat message properties object. So we'll say instance.new bubble chat message properties, and now we have that object created. Next, what we want to do is check if this message was actually sent by a player. Now, the way that we're going to do that is by creating a variable called player name, which is going to be equal to the message.text source. And what the text source property actually gives us is the display name of the actual player object who created this bubble. And if a player did not actually create this bubble, then text source will be nil. So that's how we can easily tell if a bubble has been created by either a player or an NPC, another script, or something else like that. So now if we do actually get the player's name, then we want to do something. In a lot of games, people sell a game pass called VIP, and that might give you some benefits like changing the color of your text in chat or other things like that. Now, in addition to that, what we'll also do is the bubble chat of all players that are VIP will also appear different than ordinary players as well. So what I'm going to do to keep our code organized is I'm going to create a brand new function right above where we set this callback. This function is going to be called handle VIP bubble, and the two parameters for this function are going to be player name, which is of the text source type, as well as bubble properties, which is of the bubble chat message properties object type. So now to actually call this function, what we're going to do is just call it right here inside of this if statement, and we'll pass through the player name as well as the bubble properties. Now that we've done that, inside of the handle VIP bubble function, what we want to do is check if player is a VIP. Now, of course, this video isn't to show you how to create a VIP system. Instead, what we're going to do is just create a very simple condition. So we're going to create a variable called isVIP, and that's going to be equal to the player name.user ID. And you might be thinking, whoa, that's really weird. Why do we have a variable named player name, but we're getting the user ID of that? The reason for that is because the text text source object actually has a property on it called user ID, which we are able to access. Now you have to keep in mind that our player name variable right here is of the text source object. So do not think of the player name variable as a player object just because you're able to index that with the user ID. Text source object has the user ID property because it stores the user ID of the player who created this message. Anyways, with that being cleared up, we're going to say equals players.localplayer.userid. So realistically, what this check is doing is just checking if the player who created the message is the client themselves. So when we test our game, our chat bubbles will look different, but if there were other people in our game and they typed, their messages would not be affected by this at all. Anyways, if the player is an imaginary VIP, what we're then going to start doing is updating properties of the bubble chat message properties. So we're going to say bubble properties.textColor3 equals, and then we can say color3.fromRGB, and I'm going to go with a yellow. In addition to that, we can also update its font as well. So I'm going to say font.fromEnum, and then we'll pass through whatever font that we want to, and I'm going to go with Ferdoka 1. In addition to that, we can also modify the background color of it as well. So color3.fromRGB, and we'll actually just set this to a black color. Cool. So this is a very, very basic modification, but it's just to show you what you can actually do and how you can do it. So now going back to the callback function right here, the last thing that we actually want to do is return our bubble properties object. Now we can actually go into our game and test this out. So once we're in our game, I'm just going to type out a message that says, hey, and we can actually see that we have that black background color along with the yellow text and the Ferdoka 1 font that we set up as well. So that was quite easy to customize. Now, because of the way that we have this callback set up, we create a brand new bubble properties object every single time that this callback is actually called. And at the end, we always return it no matter what. So the issue that might come along here is that this will likely override whatever bubble chat configuration you have set up inside of the Explorer. What I would recommend doing is just setting all of your default properties of the bubble properties inside of here. So let's just say, for instance, that by default, we want the bubble chat configuration property of the background color to be red. We'll just modify that inside of here as well. And there we go. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is how we can actually use these chat bubbles on non-player objects such as NPCs. Now, what I'm going to do is just add a character model into this. Now, to kind of give ourselves an easy NPC, what I'm going to do is go into our game. I'm going to start the test, and then I'm going to copy my character from inside of the workspace. I'll then stop my game, and then we'll paste that directly inside of the workspace. Cool. So now I have my character right inside of here. Then what I'm going to do is rename this to be called NPC. And now we can actually start scripting this. So what I'm going to do is go back inside of the starter player scripts, and I'm actually going to add a module script this time. We'll rename this module script to be called NPC. Now I'm not going to rename the module variable inside of the script, but what I am going to do is create a variable for the text chat service, and we also want to create one for the workspace as well. Then let's go ahead and create a variable for the NPC, which is inside of the workspace. Let's also create a variable for its humanoid root part. So NPC, wait for child, humanoid root part, and we'll also create a variable for its humanoid as well. Then what we're going to do is say task.spawn, and we're going to create an anonymous function inside of here. Now inside of this function, we're going to create a while loop, which is going to gradually decrease the NPC's health over time, as well as displaying a bubble chat message each time they take damage. So we're going to say while humanoid.health is greater than -1, do. Now, of course, every time we use a while loop, we always want to make sure that we add a task.wait to here. So I'm going to wait 3 seconds. Now let's go ahead and send a message from this NPC to display how much health they actually have. So we're going to use the text chat service, and we're going to use the display bubble method inside of it. Now for the part or character, which is actually an instance in this scenario, we're going to pass through our NPC's humanoid root part because that's where we want the bubble to be displayed from, as that's where it's always displayed for normal characters as well. After that, we can actually type out our message. Now, instead of just typing the message out directly there, I'll create a brand new variable and I'll create the string inside of here. So what this message is going to say is I have, we'll then show the amount of health that they have, and then we'll say health and then an exclamation mark. Now that we have that message created, let's go ahead and pass that through to this function, and now a bubble will be displayed for the NPC every couple of seconds. The last thing that we want to do is actually make sure that we decrease the NPC's health. So we're going to say humanoid.health minus equals 25. And now that'll decrease the NPC's health by 25 every single 3 seconds. Now there's one more thing that we actually have to do, and that's actually create the function for handling how we want to display the bubble with this NPC. So we're going to create a brand new function. This function is going to be called handle NPC bubble, and it's going to be a part of the module. The only parameter of this function is going to be bubble properties, which is of course of the bubble chat message properties type. Now inside of here, we're going to create a variable called health, which of course is going to be equal to the humanoid.health. And now what we'll do is update the background color of the bubble properties based on the amount of health that the NPC has. So if the health is greater than or equal to 75, then what we're going to do is set the background color of the bubble properties to a bright green. Now we'll also change the color if the health is greater than or equal to 50. We'll also do this at 25 as well. And then finally, we'll do this one more time, and we're going to change it to a very dark red. Cool. So now that we updated the color, we can also update the font as well, just to update something else. So we'll say font face, and we'll set that equal to font.fromEnum, and then we'll just pass through the Gotham font. Okay, awesome. So now that we've created this function, we actually have to use it, and we're going to use that in our bubble script. So going back to the bubble script, we need to require the NPC module script we just created. So we're going to create a variable called NPC Manager, which is going to be equal to require script.parent wait for child, and then we want to wait for the NPC module script. Now that we have the NPC Manager, what we're going to do is go back down into the on bubble added callback, and right here where we say if player name then, and then we handle the VIP bubble, we're going to say else. And the reason that we're saying else is because if the player name does not exist, then that means that this bubble was created by something other than a player. And in our scenario, that most likely means that it's been created by an NPC. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to use that method that we just created, and we're going to pass through the bubble properties object. Now that we've done that, let's go into our game and see what this looks like. So once we get into our game, we can actually see that the first message says, I have 100 health, and it displays red. We then have the next one, which is green, and they have 75 health. Then we have 50 at yellow, 25 at orange, and still orange at 0. So we can see that that's all working perfectly, and it's super easy to send messages from things other than player objects. Now, one last thing that I think is important to actually touch on, you guys might be wondering, if I'm creating a bubble properties object, how will I be able to modify the image label, the UI corner, or the UI gradient? Well, when you create this object, none of those objects are already created and parented to the bubble properties object. So what we need to do is also create those objects and then parent that to the bubble properties object that we just created as well. So we can see that I just created a new image label instance and I parented that to the bubble properties instance. Now, since we've done that, we can update any of the properties that we want to from this image label. And we can do the exact same thing for the UI corner as well. So we just created the UI corner object, parented that to the bubble properties, and then we modified the property of the UI corner that we wanted to, and now that's all good to go. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that's going to be it for this video. If you'd like to directly download any of the code that I created in this video, I uploaded it to my Patreon for completely free, so you can download it without even creating a Patreon account. I'll leave a link down below in the description. And of course, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you smash the subscribe button for more Roblox development content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.